So for your practical 4, you only have about 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 question, and then another 1 question for your practical assessment. So for this lab, I want you to submit all questions. So meaning that you need to submit all 5 questions provided in your practical form. Okay? So for your practical 4, we move to objects and classes. So the first question, we have 2 sub-questions. So the sub-question A, so this is your employee class, right? So based on this class, you need to write a driver programs in which your driver program will create an employee object. Okay, and then it will display his or her salary before and after a salary rise of 8%. Okay, so driver program is your main program lah. Main program is your main method lah. And then for B, B is related to access modifier. So this one is your class, right? So you need to modify your employee class so that your data field encapsulation is applied. So you need to apply encapsulation here in your employee class. And then you need to use the correct visibility modifiers. Okay, how? So you can use these 3 points. So first, you need to make the data fields as private. Okay, and then you need to implement setters and getters for each data fields. And the third one is you need to make sure your constructors and your methods should be declared as public. Okay. And then for sub-question C, you need to use constructors and constructor overloading. Okay, and then you need to add this one to your employee class that has been created just now. So you need to consider 2 things. So the first one is you need to make a no argument constructor. For example, your no argument constructor will set the employee name to an empty string and the salary field to 0.0. And then the second one is a constructor with 1 parameter. Okay, so this constructor will receive a string arguments. Okay, and then your string will store a name. And also for the second one, your salary field should be set to 0.0 also. And then you need to implement a driver program. So your driver program will be able to create 2 employee objects by using these 2 different constructors. Okay, so for your constructor, you also need to display the employee with a higher salary, and you will also need to compute and display the total salary of 2 employees. Okay, for example, let's say this is your output lah. This is the sample of your output. You can put any name and then you can compare the salary between these 2 employees. And then you need to calculate the total salary of these 2 employees. And then for the second one, for the question number 2, you have about 2 sub-questions. So the first one is you need to create a class. So this is your class name, student, in which your student class must have student ID, name, number of quizzes taken, and also a total quiz cost. Okay, so in your student class, you need to include the following. Okay, you need to include a no argument constructor, and then also you will need to include a constructor with 2 parameters for student ID and name. And then the third one, you need to add your assessor for all data fields, appropriate mutators. And then here you will also have your method named addQuiz, in which your addQuiz will take the values of score variable, and then your get method, get total score and get average score.
Sorry, Miss. Miss,
Sorry?
I want to ask the appropriate mutator is what? I mean, what is the appropriate mutator? Hello?
Hi. Oh, okay. So mutator is refer to your setter. Mutator is your setter, and then assessor, yeah. Assessor is your getter.
And then the difference between the question 2 and question 3, right?
Question
The
2 and
question
question 3.
2, yeah. Is it question 2 is just to build the program, and the question 3 is to build the object?
Okay. For question 3, you is to introduce how to use this keyword lah. That's all. So from question number 2, okay, after you create a program in question number 2, you can modify your program by using this keyword lah. So this one is just for creating the object lah. Okay. So I repeat again. For question number 2, okay, B. So you need to create a driver program in which your driver program will test all your constructor and your method. So assessor here is referred to setter. Next, we have mutator. Mutator is your getter. And then for question number 3, so this one is just want you to know how to use this keyword. So based on question number 2, just now, you need to create an, okay, let's say this one in a parameterized constructor and set method. So the parameter have the same name as the corresponding data field. Okay. And then the second one is you need to create the no argument constructor. So in which your no argument constructor will allow you to invoke the parameterized constructor. Okay. And then for Q3B, so this one is to introduce you on how to use static variables and methods. So this one is you need to modify your student class. And then this one wants you to calculate the contribution of quizzes to the coursework mark being stored in the student class. Okay. And then your student class, and then these values of your quizzes must be revised in other semester. So you need to modify the class. And then for question 3C, you need to modify this program and then you need to include these 2 points. So the first one is you need to set a value of 20% for the contribution of quizzes to the question, to the coursework mark. And then you need to calculate and you also need to display the quiz marks obtained by each student. So for example, let's say this is your output. So in here, you display the name, student name, and then also you display total score, average, and total marks obtained from quizzes. Okay, and then for question number 4, so question number 4 is about road transport department. So here the road transport department needs to keep track of car registration, right? So here for every car registered, so we start this information. For example, we start registration number, owner's name, owner's IC number, car plate number, make, model, engine capacity, color, and year manufactured. So like this lah. So this one is your output. So you need to identify the required class and also appropriate relationship. So this one, you will learn about aggregation and composition. Okay, and then you need to implement all the classes and you need to write a driver program. So your driver program will obtain the input details from the user. And then this is your sample output. So, and then for this question number 4, you need to use the string type for the owner's name. And then for this also, for this question also, let's say for the entity class, you only need to implement 3 things. Okay, the first one is you need to implement a parameterized constructor to initialize all the instance variables. And then the second one is you need to use toString method. So your toString method will return all the data fields value as a string. And then you need to automate the registration number. Okay, and then in your main program, okay, you can use these 4 points. So first, you need to create an array of car type objects in which each object stores the information of car type. So you can use, you may create this array by using array initializer. Okay, and then let's say when user input their car registration number, you can also display the various car types for the user to select from. Okay, and then for the registration data, you may use a fixed for loop. So another condition is, let's say you need to assume that other than the owner's name, the other string type data will only consist of single word. So you, for the input validation, are not needed in your case lah, for question number 4. And then for question 1 in your practical assessment, so this one is your UML diagram. So here you have your class and also your methods, right? So this UML will represent a class to be used for keeping track of a short course offered by Alpha College. So this one, you have a data member, student names. So student names here is an array. So these student names will store a maximum of 100 student names. And then also we have course count here. So course count here, we use course count to keep track of the total number of courses offered in the college. Okay, so based on this UML diagram, you need to implement the course class. Okay, and then here also we have calculate fees collected. So you need to use this formula to compute the total amount of fees collected from a course, sorry. Okay, and then we have add student method here. So add student method here will allow you to add a new student who has enrolled for a course. So this method will be added to the student names array. And then next we have toString method. So this toString method will allow you to return a string. And then for B, so this one is a new course offered by Alpha College. So this is the course title and this is the fees per student. So let's say in this case, Ali Syed, Wong Ken and Peter Lee has registered for this course, right? So you need to create a program in which your program will display the details of the new course, including the total fees collected for the course. Okay, and then your output should also contain the name of the student who enrolled for the course.
Next.
Yes.
For question 4, right? What is meant by composition and aggregation?
So this will take the value of employee name and current salary. Okay. And then inside here you have another method. So we will take double percent. It will take percent as double. So this is the parameter for method raise salary. And then this is the formula to calculate the salary increment. Okay. So and then the question asks you to create a driver program. So I create another program called test employee. So for this one, okay. So in your main program, you need to have public class. So you need to have your class name. So this is your class name. And then in your main program, you need to have main methods here. So this is your main method lah. You need to have your public static void main, and then inside here is your arguments. So don't forget to write this one in your main program or in your driver program. Okay. Okay, and then next we have this one, employee EM1, and then new employee. So this one is object reference. Employee is your object reference, in which we refer to the employee.java from here, from your employee class. Do you see this one? Employee is your object reference. So we refer to this one, employee. And then next we have EM1. So EM1 here is, this is the statement that will allow you to create EM1 object. So this one is the object lah. And then here we have new object. Okay, so this is the format on how you are going to create a new object. And then here we have employee. So employee here is just like you call your class method. This one from this one. Okay, so this is the format on how you are going to create em1 object. And then inside your parenthesis here, you have your string, you have your values, right? So this one is the object creation. Okay. Okay, and then in line 13 and 14, we need to print the statement. So the question asks you to display his or her salary, right? To display salary. Okay, for example, in line 13, I display the name of the employee. So how we are going to display the name? Okay, first, so this one is your print line statement, and then this one is your object, and then we use dot get name. So get name here comes from your employee.java. So this one I will explain after this. And then in line 14, we have another call method. So we use get salary. So get salary also comes from the employee.java class. Okay. So this is how you write your main method. This is how you write your driver program for question 1E. Okay. Okay, and then, so this is your class, employee class. So just like your question, like this. Okay, so this one is same. First, you need to declare the variable. So here, already declared. So here we have name and salary. So the type for name is string and the type for salary is double. And then inside here also, this one you can just ignore this one. And then
Miss, you're muted.
so now can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Clear my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this one, we have get name and get salary, right? So how to create this method? So we need to use get name. So this one is refer to your getters. How we are going to create these getters? So we simply put the method and then the method name. Okay, the type and method name. So this one is the method for your getter. And then for the parameter, we can just leave it blank here. Okay, get name and then return name. So this one is referred to this one. And then in order to get the salary, we create another getter. So here, the salary type is double, right? Comes from here. And then we type get salary. We use get salary getter. And then after that, we return salary. Okay, and then together with getter, we need to have setter. We have getter and setter. So for object and classes, we need to deal with getter and setter. So for example here, so this one is getter for name, and then this one is setter for name. Okay, and then here we have the type. The type for this method is void because it will not return any value, right? So this one is the name for your setter. We use set name. You can put any other names, but usually we standardize the name by shorter verbose like this. Set name for name, set salary for salary. And then here inside your parentheses, you have your parameter or your arguments. So this parameter, you assign name to the variable n. You assign n to the variable name. And then this is your variable, right? So you assign variable n to name. The name comes from here. And then this one finish. Set getter and setter for name. And then next we have setter and getter for salary. So this one is getter for salary. And then this one is setter for salary. Okay. So for setter, we use void type. And then this is the setter method. And then inside your parenthesis is your parameter or arguments. So it will take double. Okay. So this one will assign cell to variable salary. Salary comes from this one and this one. Okay. And then next we have void raise salary from here. So this one is another method. So this void raise salary method will take percent as double. Okay. For example here, just like your question. So void raise salary, okay, in your parentheses you have double percent, right? And then follow with your equation or your formula. So in your main program, you just need to call this method. Okay, so this is the output. Can you see? Okay, I put this together with this so that you will see clearer. Okay. Okay, so this one is your employee class driven from question 1A, and then this one is your main program. Okay, so I repeat, in order to call your name and salary, you need to create setter and getter. So this is how you write your getter and setter method. Okay. And then for question 1b. So for question 1b, you need to modify the employee class so that the data field encapsulation is applied. And correct visibility modifiers are used. So you need to make the data fields as private. So how you are going to make this one as private? This one data field. So data field refers to name and salary, right? So you can simply put this one as private. So private. It's fine. Private and private. Okay. And then the second one, implement setters and getters. So I already implemented setters and getters. So this one is setter, and then this one is getter. And then the third one is all constructors and methods should be declared as public. So this one public, yeah. Let me copy paste. Public. All what? All constructors and methods should be declared as public. So public. So here is your method, right? Is your constructor. This one is your constructor. This one is your constructor, public. And then method should be declared as public. So this one is your method. Getters and setters also is a method. This one is your constructor. And right here, getter method. And then this one is also setter or your mutator. The one bounded with your bracket with your parenthesis is a method. Okay. So even this one employee, and then here we have parenthesis, right? We have parenthesis, right? So this one is also a method, but since the name of the method is similar with your file with your class name, we call it as constructor. Okay. So this one, can you see it is bounded in parentheses? So this one is also a method. All constructor and method should be displayed as public. So we can simply put this one as public. Public string. Okay. Can you see, class? So that is how you answer question 1B. So you need to add your access modifier. So public here, I put it here. We have two types. We have many types of access modifier. So for example, we have public, private, and also we have protected. So this is the access modifier. And then this is your main, right? Inside your main also you have your public. So public here is your access modifier. Okay. And then for question C, okay, it is about constructor and constructor overloading. So this one you need to add two constructor. The first one is no argument constructor, and then the second one is constructor with one parameter. Put it here. So you need to modify your employee class by adding the constructors. Okay. So how you are going to add the constructor? So you can put anywhere up, and whether it is up here or down here. For example, let's say I put it here lah. After public employee. Constructor, yeah. So employee. So it's the question. No argument constructor. No argument constructor, employee. This one, employee, name to an empty string and salary field to 0. So this is like this. Name is equal to, and then salary 0.0 is equal to 0.0. Salary. Okay. And then second one, a constructor with one parameter. Constructor with one parameter. The constructor receives a string argument storing a name, and then the salary field should be 0.02. So this one I set it as 0.0. Okay. Can you see this one? So for your constructor, you need to make it public also. Like this. Okay. So constructor is also a method. So any name that bounded with this one. Can you see this one? You have your parenthesis, right? So anything with this parenthesis, we call it as method. But in this case, because of the name of your method is similar to your file name or your class name, so we call it as constructor. Okay? Understand, class? Okay, and then for C, no argument constructor. So inside, okay, good. So where is the question? So inside your parenthesis here, we call it arguments or parameter. Arguments, parameter or variables. Your arguments can be your variables and so on lah. Okay, so for C1, no argument. So you put nothing here. So this one is referred to no args constructor. Okay. And then the second one, C number 2 is a constructor with one parameter. So this one is a constructor, right? I make some notes here. Constructor with one parameter. So this is the constructor with one parameter. Okay, only one. Okay, can you see this one? So this one in line 5 is another constructor. Can you see? But this one is the example of constructor with two parameters. Constructor with two parameters. Because here we have two arguments, right? So this is the constructor with parameter. This one is no argument constructor, and then this one is constructor with one parameter. Okay, so that is how you answer question 1A. So class, I forgot to record the session. I think maybe you can screenshot this one. Okay.
Yeah, so I put student 01. Okay, with the new students, you can see in that here, go to B.
So I repeat again. So this one is your employee class. So in employee class, you can have your constructor. So the name for your constructor must be similar with your class. For example, here we have 3 types of constructor in your program. So the first one, we have public employee, right? So this one is constructor with 2 parameters. Here you can see the arguments. We have 2 parameters. And then here, no parameter. So this one is no arguments constructor. And then this one is constructor with 1 parameter. Okay, next we have get name. So get name is your getter method. And then set name is your setter method, or we call it as mutator. Getter we call it, or we can also call it as assessor. Okay, and then for the access modifier, you can have few types of access modifier. For example, you can have private, public, and also protected here. Okay, how you are going to call your employee class in your main program. So this one is your main program. You can simply call this one from. Okay, this one is you are creating a new object. And then this statement will create EMP1 object, and then this is your object creation here. This one is your object creation. And then let's say you want to get the name and salary, you can simply call the method like this. Okay? So you can continue answering question 2 and 3.
you need to know from here. So okay, or
So can you see my screen? So Farrell Vincent, Linoy Lien, Calvin, no, Calvin, Cassandra,
Yes, Miss.
Chan Wei Ho,
Yes, Miss.
Chan Yin Ling, Chang Chia Yi,
Yes, Miss.
Chong Pei Chi,
Yes, Miss.
Châu Min Yuan,
Yes, Miss.
Kuo Yin Jing,
Yes, Miss.
Leong Phan Eng, Lim Shen Yin, Lo Chiu Wei Wen, Pang Giap Seng,
Yes, Miss.
Ryan,
Yes, Miss.
Tan Jia Zhen,
Yes.
T Keng Yan,
Yes.
Tu Kian Ho.
Yes.
Okay, so they are Chan Yin Ling. Is here or not? Really? How come you know? Okay, so next week is a public holiday, right? So we need to replace the class. So any suggestion? So and then this is my timetable. I will be available from Wednesday until Saturday. So when you want to replace your class for next week's class, Friday, Saturday, any idea? So Wednesday. So we will replace the class on Friday next week from 4 to 6. So I will send you the invitation lah. So if there is no invitation means no class.